Ticket. I'm Nancy Osborne and how it's changed mentors and mentees' lives and how you can be involved. The Teammates Mentoring Hour, Wednesday night from 6 to 7 o'clock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Imagine a world where no one explains the rules of the game. No discussions of how money works. No game plan for how education supports your future job or career. And certainly no coaching about how to start or run a business. Too many young people leave school without critical skills in financial literacy, work and career readiness, and entrepreneurship to reach their potential in life. Junior Achievement is working on leveling the playing field, but we can't do it alone.
Be a game changer. Visit ja.org/volunteer.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in to Ticket Weeknights. I am Harrison Arens, going solo all the way up until 8 o'clock. And tonight is the season opener for the NFL. In front of me, I'm watching right now, is the Chiefs and Lions get ready to go here in just about half an hour here. They're going to be ready to go here. We're going to see some NFL football. So again, if you guys want to join the show, Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685, as well as we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. Plenty of ways to engage in the show. And again, I'll be kind of keeping you updated on this Chiefs-Lions game as we kind of get through the first quarter here. So I'll give you updates on that in case you're on the road or still at work, keep you updated there. But in the meantime, as we kind of wait for this game to get going, I'm going to go ahead and kind of dive into Colorado in Nebraska because, you know, with that crazy week one, the way it was with Colorado, you know, kind of shocking everyone, despite going 1-11 the year before, they take on a ranked TCU, 17-ranked TCU, and it's an upset. You know, whatever you thought about TCU or not, not defending runner-up from last season, you know, you were kind of expecting TCU to come away with that one. But we saw some things, right? You saw Sanders. He's going to be a problem. He's incredibly accurate. That's his best ability at this point, in my eyes, is when he has a clean pocket, he's not going to make a mistake. Rarely will he make a mistake if he's got time. So we'll dive in on more of that. Kind of try to talk about the keys to win for Nebraska. And obviously Travis Hunter. You know, I that's another guy that everyone knew he was good, but for it to kind of pop right away, it just kind of puts him in another stratosphere. I mean, that was a guy that before the game, you knew he was going to be a weapon. And after the game, you still had to elevate what you thought of him. You know, that kind of tells you what kind of performance he had. And if you're in Nebraska, you're probably not going to be looking his way too many times with Jeff Sims dropping back in the pocket. You're probably going to be looking the other way. I mean, that's just how good he was. But with all of that, right, you see Edwards, receivers for them had a really good game as well. All these players, offensively, it was an awesome performance. But defense, they didn't have too much to brag on, right? You look at TCU, the quarterback wasn't elite by any means. He was all right on those intermediate throws, but as far as the deep balls, he just wasn't very accurate. The running game was pretty effective. It surprised me that TCU was even willing to get away from it. You know, they came back to it at the very end, and it was about the fourth quarter, and they really needed to it was about their second last drive. They really needed to get the chains moving. And then they finally went back to the run game, and Colorado was actually able to stop it pretty easily on that last attempt, kind of get the ball moving through the run game. And I really think TCU messed up on that. I think they got away from the run game so much that when they finally brought it back in the fourth quarter, those guys were, you know, I kind of have a belief when it comes to running. I think your linemen are just going to get more comfortable playing aggressive with that run game. If you kind of have them sit back and pass pro all game, and then you kind of want to start dialing things up, yeah, it might work. But more often than not, if you're kind of leaning on those guys early and just consistently getting them those run blocks instead of just having them drop back every time, I think there's a real, value to that. Having those guys kind of get that consistency in there so they're not just dropping back, that they're used to blocking for the run and whatever scheme that may be. Because when you're looking at those drop back passes, you know, like, yeah, there's communication, but your own lines have really got to work when you're dialing up that run game, right? Because they got to start figuring everything out, how to get to the next level, and just be a cohesive unit. You drop that fourth quarter when you completely abandon it, the odds of it working out are just a lot worse than if you would have stuck to it all game long. Then you're keeping them on their feet as well, right? You don't have to worry too much if you call play action and you're leaning on that run game early. That play action might be wide open. For TCU, their quarterback who's struggling, I think that was a huge problem. He's really started to struggle. They, for whatever reason, didn't want to get into the run game. So he's just kind of out there having to put the ball and just make great plays. And again, it was a good offense performance by TCU. What does this mean for Colorado's defense? I just don't think they're that good. I'll be honest. I think their secondaries are obviously the elite part of that team. And in terms of running the ball, there's no reason to me why, Nebraska can't run the ball against Colorado. I think that's probably my biggest takeaway. After all this week one kind of craziness, I was surprised to see people just already kind of elevating Colorado to they'll beat Nebraska, 21, 28, whatever it may be. And I can see how early on, I was even kind of worried, leaning that way right after that Colorado TCU game. And as you kind of go break it down further, you see a lot of ways where TCU was playing right into the hands of Colorado, right? So again, you give Colorado credit for performing at a high level and getting that win, but nonetheless, TCU did them a lot of favors, kind of going with the style they wanted. What is Colorado's best aspect on defense right now? It's the secondary. And that's what TCU wanted to do all game. They wanted to drop back and keep throwing on what you would consider Colorado's best defensive group. That's secondary. And again, the run game was working for TCU. They got over 255 yards. They could have got a lot more if they just stayed with it, consistently handed it off, but they didn't. They wanted to play. I shouldn't say they wanted to play in Colorado's hands, but that was the way it turned out. And you kind of see that at the end there. Travis Hunter has a huge interception to kind of swing that when they're deep into the red zone, and I just really didn't like the game plan for TCU. I thought they had a shot to win that. It was going down the lane of whoever gets the ball last is going to win, especially if, TCU wanted to kind of keep going with that air raid. And again, they tried to get to that run game in the fourth quarter, but I just feel like you run away from that for an entire game and you start looking at your linemen to make those moving the chain plays where you really can't afford to go second and long, right? Hey, it's 1st and 10. We're going to run the ball here. And if we're going to set up this third down, we can't be playing from second and long. We're going to be playing right into the hands of Colorado again. And that's exactly what happened, right? Late in the game, they want to get to the run game, and it turns into, second and longs because they completely just got away from it in that third quarter, second quarter for whatever reason. And I think it definitely cost them. We got unknown texture here. 3994 says Colorado and Dion in their first game looked like we were hoping from Scott Frost. Speed and motivation and hitting in the mouth. Yeah, I'll give you that. The first game with Scott Frost, first game got rained out, lightning. I came down here in Lincoln 2018. You imagine big smile on my face. I thought Scott Frost was going to work me and the rest of the world, right? It wasn't like Nebraska was all fools when we got Scott Frost. It was Nebraska and the rest of the college football world thought that was a great hire. No one saw the way that was going. So yeah, Scott Frost, that first game, he has the rain delay that turns into lightning, and then the game just has to get, if I remember correctly, it was just, I think they had to cancel, or maybe they did postpone it. I can't remember correctly, but that took a lot of momentum away. But I'm just not going to buy that momentum excuse. It absolutely is. I agree with the texter in the sense that, that is 100% what we're hoping to see from Scott Frost was that energy. There was a point watching Colorado sideline, and their secondary coach for Colorado is ripping into those DBs, just getting in their grill, letting them know this is a moment. This Colorado TCU game is a huge moment. You don't get a lot of those in college football. And if you're Colorado, you're lucky because you get 2 back-to-back, right? You're going to have another huge moment against Nebraska. And if you keep winning, who knows how many more you get. But they were stressing this is a huge moment. Yes, I know it's your one, but there is a sense of urgency. These opportunities are limited, and you kind of saw that from Colorado's sideline. Secondary coach ripping into his guys. the best defensive group on the field, still getting ripped out, not under, just kind of letting them know this is a moment. And you see Dion seeing his coach rip into him. Dion comes over there. He does the same thing. He gets on with his coach and he starts ripping out those players as well. And again, just emphasizing year one, I don't care. There is a sense of urgency. This is a moment. And we've seen it in college football. How many times that big moment carries momentum? Colorado's got momentum now. Say what you will. That's a focused team. But that TCU win, of course, that's going to give them confidence. If they lose that game to TCU, you don't want to say it's going to affect how they play against Nebraska, but confidence, momentum, that's a huge thing. Because look at Sanders, who's going to be coming off of 5 touchdowns and 500 plus yards passing, 0 interceptions. Now you're going to look at Jeff Sims in Nebraska, rough game, right? He ran the ball pretty good, almost 5 yards per carry. And again, I'm not going to bash on Jeff Sims too much. There's things in this offense that I just don't know if we're setting him up properly. If this is your guy, how have we not figured out a system where he can get through his reads quicker and just really rely on his running? Because let's be honest, that is likely going to be one of his best strengths, right? If the accuracy gets better, yeah, maybe we can see that in the passing game too. But right now, running the ball, that's what he does best. At least I'm watching game one, watching him at Georgia Tech. He's a physical athlete. He's a first guy off the bus. You kind of want the other team to see him. I mean, he's a tall guy, over 200 pounds. Same thing with Gabe Ervin. So you got these guys in Jeff Sims and Gabe Ervin that are both 200 big dudes. What I like to call first guy off the bus. You kind of want the other team to see the size and the athleticism. Those guys just look intimidating coming off the bus. So you have that size, an elite running back in Gabe Ervin, and I am going to call him an elite running back. I'll be honest. I don't know if we kind of used him properly. Last week was another disappointing one for me. Why he was not out there to end the game for us on that crucial drive, I don't understand. Why move Anthony Grant to running back 3, and then fourth quarter, even though Gabe Ervin has made 0 mistakes, you're not going to put him out there. Stuff like that's the small stuff that drives me crazy because I can't understand it in any shape, way, or form. There's no reason for that to kind of pull Gabe Ervin. But again, I'm high on Gabe Ervin. I'm high on Jeff Sims' running ability. So they have a chance, but they got to fit that offense. And that's what I was kind of saying, comparing Sanders, who's just coming off a massive high momentum win, to Jeff Sims, who's coming off he'd say it himself, a bad performance. That's not what he wanted. That's not what the team wanted. And he's going to be harder on himself than any of us can be. So he's got that pressure on him walking into this game that he has to perform better. Sanders has kind of got that. He's got that momentum carrying with him. He knows it. He just did it against TCU at an extremely high level. He did it at Jackson State at an extremely high level. Sims is still kind of in that turnover game where it's that mental thing where he just can't get out of the way. And he's got to bounce back from that. It's a little bit of mental gymnastics to kind of get over those. And, they're going to have to kind of step up to the plate here. I think with Jeff Sims, the biggest thing is how you going to get that guy running in space, and you're going to have to find ways to just power it up the middle. To me, that's kind of the key to victory, at least offensively. You heard it all week. I want to see Jeff Sims with a lot of carries. Same thing with Gabe Ervin. Gabe Ervin, at least he's got to be at 15. Anything under 15 to me at this point doesn't make sense. That's kind of, again, my whole rant with Gabe Ervin. How a guy like him, for how all the praise and not just praise, what we see on the field, the lack, the low turnover numbers, good ball security, high average yards per carry. And we've seen it. We've heard praise about it. Again, there's no reason that guy shouldn't have 15 yards per carry. And part of that too is Nebraska's momentum. You look at that first half against Minnesota, you're barely, I think it was like 3 drives is what you're working with. So when you can't get in that momentum, that is going to throw your run game off. But I also thought that's kind of part of the play calling where we want to kind of 1st and 10 for whatever reason, we want to drop back and pass. We don't have to kind of get cute with it, especially when Jeff Sims He does have that record at Georgia Tech, so we kind of knew what he was coming in. And even at Nebraska, I don't care that Georgia Tech, obviously I care that he had those interception numbers and it wasn't the greatest ratio in the world, but I was hoping at Nebraska, they saw that and they were thinking, we can find ways to make this game, easier for you. Hide your weaknesses, elevate your strengths. We'll find an offensive system that's going to click for you. You look at a guy like Sanders, who was coached by Tom Brady, and you're watching him against Colorado. That is a quarterback with an extremely high IQ. And then you look at the way Colorado's offense attacked TCU. It wasn't even like he was going through a ton of reads. A lot of those routes, Sanders was going 1 read, 2 read, check down. He wasn't reading the whole damn field. It's even though you have a guy like Sanders, an elite high-level quarterback, they're still not having him do, these NFL caliber reads, going through all the progressions. It's a simple 1-2 check down. And Colorado ran the same play about 10 times in that game against TCU on that same route tree, and it worked just about every single time. There's only one missed throw early in the game from Sanders where he hit Newton, I believe Newton, who's guarding Travis Hunter, in the back of the helmet. Other than that, the play worked every time, and it was simple. It was nothing crazy. It was just giving your quarterback a very simple formula to go through his progressions and just hit the guy on target. And if you need to, go to your check down. So again, Nebraska, if you want to beat Colorado, it's going to be a huge game that carries a lot of momentum. You're going to have to run the ball. You're going to have to get Jeff Sims' turnovers under control. And how you do that is not just by crossing your fingers and hoping Jeff Sims doesn't throw a pick. You do that by your play calling and setting him up right. And obviously there's going to be some chance in that, but it's got to be part of the game plan. You don't want to overbear him. And I think at this point, he does have those strengths at running the ball. And Colorado, that's a weakness for him. This is a game where Jeff Sims does have an opportunity to really shake things up, because running the ball for him is going to be his greatest strength in this game. If I am Matt Rule, I'm going to use him a lot in running the ball. I'm using Gabe Ervin, Ramir Johnson, get my tight ends involved. And again, tight ends were a little disappointing in that Minnesota game. I don't think that one was play calling. Kind of hearing Matt Rule in those press conferences, sounds like they wanted to get those tight ends the ball. They had some design plays. Obviously, Jeff Sims, on that one turnover, he had Borkature wide open underneath, and he just missed him. So the tight ends were meant to get involved. Fedoni had a few plays dialed up for him, and they got to do a better job kind of staying on their routes as well, finding those pockets in that linebacker level, trying to find those openings. Because again, you kind of saw that where they wanted to get their tight ends involved, and it looked like maybe Fedoni would get knocked off his route to the point that by the time he was open, pressure was on Sims, it's too late. He's either off and running or it's gone. So I'm not going to bash on the lack of tight end use. I think Matt Rule wanted to get those guys involved. I just don't know how effective Sims was at finding them and how effective the tight ends were at necessarily getting open. I'm pretty high on Borkature. I like what he's doing. Fedoni, I'm just kind of curious. That's a guy that's just gone through injury after injury after injury. So for him, I'm not going to bash him after one game. Give him some time. Let him get up to game speed. You still got to remember, that was a hell of a talent coming into Nebraska. He stuck with the program. We'll see what it looks like once he starts getting into game speed. I'm definitely not writing him off anytime soon. Now, looking at Colorado, and how we should handle them defensively. I'll tell you right now, if we don't get pressure on Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, we're going to lose this game. Shedeur Sanders is a surgeon if you give him a pocket. You look at that TCU game. When Sanders had a clean pocket, he threw 30 for 35, 2 touchdowns. No interceptions, obviously. He had no interceptions the entire game. 30 for 35. So you're hovering in those high 80s percentage-wise. That right there is indicative of you cannot give that guy time. If you want to sit back and trust your DBs, it's not going to work. He's too good at staying, extending the play. And if he doesn't have time back there rushing his throws, if you don't force him to throw off his back foot or throw on the run, he's proven at Jackson State, he's proven in his first game at Colorado, he will throw that thing on a rope and he will just break you down easily. So again, you cannot give time to Sanders. If you don't get any sort of pressure on him, it's just going to spell trouble. unless you can play really well on the offensive side of the ball and you're just hoping for a shootout. But again, if you don't get pressure on Shedeur Sanders, he's going to be able to find his guys, and Travis Hunter, he's going to be able to find his guys, his checkdowns and Edwards, Weavers, all those talented guys. If he has time, he will find them. And we didn't even see him run the ball, scramble for yardage. He even had a few lapses. And even then, I'd be a little nervous about his running ability as well. We didn't see it against TCU, but when he gets to the edge, what does he look like if he wants to cut it upfield? So we're going to need some pass rushers to really step in there. I would hope for Nebraska's defense, that's part of the plan, right? Dial up some blitzes, get creative, find some ways to kind of get some pressure on him. I will say this for Colorado. I was impressed by their pass protection. You look at that offensive line, that was the one group to me with Colorado was going to be the trenches. A lot of those early programs where they got their first, second year head coach, the trenches are always kind of something to look at because that's typically that development room, right? That's a room that really comes together before a coach when he's year 3, year 4, when those guys are, kind of building up into those bigger frames, especially in the Big Ten. We see it all the time. But they held their own. TCU, when they did try to dial up some blitzes, they did a really good job on picking everyone up. So I don't think it's possible for Nebraska to come out there and shock anyone, with winning over Colorado. But you already know it's going to be an electric atmosphere. Colorado's got momentum heading in, and Nebraska, we're just kind of still dealing with the same baggage we've had for so long. And if you want to talk about the Nebraska curses, it's kind of funny. When you look at this stretch of Nebraska's 22 one-score loss games since Scott Frost got here in 2018, that first one to kind of start that chart, right, for the 22 one-score losses for Nebraska, that doesn't seem, no matter who we're playing, if it's Georgia Southern, if it's, an elite powerhouse like Michigan, it's going to be within 3 or 7 points. It's just been the most wild, anomaly statistically for college football, period. The fact that it's a running joke for the college football nation that this crazy, just barely finding ways to lose games for Nebraska has gone on for so long that, we're not even getting made fun of for it anymore. I think people just generally feel bad. And again, I don't want to give Matt Rule the baggage for everything that's happened in the past, but he says it himself. There is a sense of urgency. I don't care that it's year 1, and I'm sure he doesn't either. As a head coach, that sense of urgency's got to be there, and I don't think we're going to see a team that walks up to Colorado thinking, wow, those guys played really good against TCU. Guys, let's try our best, and if it doesn't happen, that's okay. They're going to go in there determined to win. It's not going to be a problem with effort. Watching that Minnesota game, I never saw anything that indicated effort. I never saw anything that indicated bad team chemistry. And again, that's tough. You have a game like that, your quarterback isn't playing great. How does the team respond? They actually responded pretty well. The penalties can be frustrating, especially when you get them inside the red zone consistently. That's something that absolutely cannot happen against Colorado. We've seen what happens. If you get an opportunity to punch that one in, you're going to have to take it. Because Colorado, they're going to have some explosive plays. With that being said, though, real quick note, we did just have the kickoff of the NFL season between the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, we'll kind of throw the break here in a little bit here, and we'll dive into this game as they're getting ready. The Lions are getting ready for that opening drive, and we'll dive in on what that all means and how we kind of see this matchup shaking out between the Kansas City Chiefs without Travis Kelce. That is important to note, especially if you're a fantasy football owner. If you made that error and you still have Travis Kelce in your starting lineup, that's going to be a tough week 1 for you because he's officially out. So Mahomes, we're going to see what it looks like for him as they have to deal with some new weapons. And we'll throw it to break here as we just watched the Detroit Lions run upfield 7 yards on their first play of the game. So I'll keep you updates on the Kansas City Chiefs, Detroit Lions, as well as we'll talk some more college football and what to expect in the weeks to come. I'm Harrison Arens on Ticket Weeknights, going solo all the way up until 8 o'clock. I'll catch you guys on the other side.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planning season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Accelerate your financial journey. With Kasasa Cash, experience the thrill of earning more with each transaction or the freedom to withdraw your cash from any ATM nationwide. Not to mention, no monthly service fees. It's the power of earning up to 5.5% APY on your Kasasa Cash with Liberty First Credit Union. Earn rewards beginning at a penny, continuing up to $40,000. Visit libertyfirstcu.com for details. Federally insured by NCUA. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Account qualifications apply.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
General contractors, business owners, property owners. The success of your business requires doing business with the right people. And the right people, when it comes to drywall, acoustical ceilings, and specialty products, are at Premier Drywall. Kevin and his crew will give your project the response and attention it deserves.
You'll get all of the attention to detail and quality that you would expect from someone who's been in the business for 30 years. For your new builds, build-outs, or renovations, reach out to Kevin. Kevin at PremierDW.com. Premier Drywall in Lincoln.
LES is hosting an EV Ride and Drive event at Haymarket Park on Sunday, September 24th. Attendees can sign up to test drive a variety of electric vehicles. Visit les.com/drive to learn more.
Tune in to the Teammates Mentoring Hour each Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket. Hear stories from the program started by Tom and Nancy Osborne and how it's changed mentors and mentees' lives and how you can be involved. The Teammates Mentoring Hour, Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 o'clock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast For today, we'll see mostly sunny skies along with more smoke and haze again today. Afternoon high should be around 84. Tonight, we'll see a chance for showers and storms in the low of around 59. And tomorrow, we'll see more sunshine along with similar temperatures. Afternoon high should be around 86. Meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weeknights. Again, I am Harrison Arens, running the ones and twos, hosting the show actually all the way up until 8 o'clock. I'm so used to saying that. But no, I am hosting the show all the way up until 8 o'clock as we got the NFL season opener between the Lions and Kansas City Chiefs. And it looks like the Lions actually are able to get a stop here on the Kansas City Chiefs. They're making a nice drive there, but a couple of good rushes by the defense to put Patrick Mahomes under some pressure. Can't get the pass off, has to rush forward, falls just short of the first down by about a couple of yards. So again, still 0-0 in the first quarter, about 10 minutes, 50 seconds to play, but it's back to the Detroit Lions. Will have a chance to take the ball back. Again, I'll kind of just keep you updates as that is the season opener for the NFL. And again, it's pretty interesting. No Travis Kelce. And obviously you have all the ceremony of the Kansas City Chiefs for the home opener, obviously coming off the win last year. A lot to go through there. So big game for the Lions. Big time for them to kind of get that stop. I think the key for them is just do not let the Chiefs kind of get up on you early, because you see it, if you get down the stretch there and they're up on you early, that's not a team you want to be playing with on who gets the ball last. They're very good with Andy Reid on keeping that clock under control and just moving the chains enough to take you out of the game completely if you let them get away. So big game for the Lions, for Dan Campbell in this team. They remind me a lot of the Huskers last year. Played really hard. You always kind of thought they were on the verge of doing something, maybe not big, but making some real strides into being a serious contender in the NFC North. And this year, you're kind of seeing it, right? Some people are even picking the Detroit Lions. I know here at the Ticket, Nick Sainert surely is going to be picking the Detroit Lions over the Minnesota Vikings. It's a bit of a conversation this year. I think people are really starting to believe in Dan Campbell. And obviously, with the Lions, you're still looking at some decent talent there. You still got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's just been an excellent player through his entire career, has really never had any moments where he slips. You kind of see that with some other guys. Chase Claypool's one that kind of gets thrown out there for, a guy that has a high ceiling, but for whatever reason, year after year, it doesn't really happen. I think Metcalf's kind of another one of those. Great, phenomenal player, but every now and then he'll have those lapses. St. Brown never has those mental lapses. I shouldn't say mental. He's just so good that he gets open damn near every game. So, obviously you got some amazing players there. And Jared Goff, I think it's a big year for him to kind of see how far can he take this Lions team. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think what he's been for that Lions group has really pushed them in the right direction to get just a capable quarterback, period, for that Detroit Lions team that can just move the chains for you, make the right plays, and is actually able to read that defense on a higher level, because they're at a point where, how many rebuilds do you want to put the Lions through? So again, they have some real momentum here. I'm obviously, as a Bears fan, I'm excited to see what David Montgomery looks for the Lions as well. I'm sure he'll get some nice plays in there. But again, big game for the Lions. This could really set the stage for them this season. And that NFC North is just going to be that interesting, because you're looking at the Packers, right? And Jordan Love, you're not really sure what you're going to get out of those guys. Jordan Love in the preseason, you'd like the things you saw, right? You can't really pick him apart there. He played efficiently. So by all means, at least in the preseason, they look like they have a guy. What his ceiling is, we don't know yet, but he's not going to be, by the looks of it, terrible for him. He's going to be a serviceable quarterback. How good he's going to be in that first year starting is to be decided. So that's kind of where you're seeing the Packers slide. It's probably 3-4 in most people's NFC North divisions. I'm still pretty high on the Vikings winning it. I just think with Kirk Cousins, what you're going to get with him every year. He's kind of at a point too where he's at a prove it year. This contract's going to end pretty soon here for him. And he's kind of at that age too, where how much are you willing to spend on a Kirk Cousins? Unless you're the 49ers, if you're the 49ers, you just don't have the capital. That's why they're so lucky to have a guy like Purdy that they can have on that extremely cheap dollar, get rid of Trey Lance so you don't have to worry about his contract coming up, and you can just kind of keep that number as low as possible. And then obviously you go hand Nick Bosa an absurd deal. So they're in some cap issues. They wouldn't be able to get Goff anyways, Cousins anyways. But that's kind of where I'm at with him. He's at this age now where he's got to start winning. He's got to basically win a Super Bowl. How many people are going to be willing to pay that contract for a guy that has always been consistent? But last year was his only, massive year where he really took off. You might see a little bit of a drop. Again, he's not going to be a bad quarterback. He's not going to be giving you a lot of turnovers. He's still got Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, if not the best, in the top 5, bare minimum. I mean, he's that good. So I'm just kind of thinking, when you're looking at the Minnesota Vikings in that NFC North, this is a big year for them. I think they know they kind of have to prove some things. So you're losing Dalvin Cook in the backfield as well. That puts some question marks on those guys as well. You're going to be leaning on Cousins more to kind of move those chains for you. They lost Thielen. He's no longer there. So you're going to have some new guys stepping into roles. But I do think they hear the clock ticking over in Minnesota. I think the Vikings should probably be the favorite to win the NFC North. I don't think they're going to slip too much from last year. Kirk Cousins' numbers might drop a little bit, but in terms of being the best team in the NFC North, I still think it's theirs to lose. Lions can make some runs here, especially right now as they're pushing the Chiefs. They get another first down, and they're on their 20, but just kind of slowly, methodically moving the chains. And with Dan Campbell, again, I said it last year, that team plays really hard. They have the talent. It's just a matter of when is it going to take off. Because he's also got at a point where you look at so many of these NFL teams, and it's not a surprise, those guys move on quickly for not winning games. So Dan Campbell, he's done a good job turning around the line so far, at least in my eyes, with what he's had to deal with. Just flipping the culture around. That's an organization that not a lot of people want to go down and play for. And he's turning it into a team that's competent, a team right now that's keeping things close. Obviously, still the first quarter with the Kansas City Chiefs, but you're excited. And I do think a guy like Goff has some real ability to take this Lions team pretty far. So still going to roll with the Vikings to win that NFC North. But again, there's a real shot here for these Lions to make some noise. 402-464-5685. That is the Starter Heyman text line. I'll read you guys' texts as they come in. And if you want to talk about the NFL, some other season openers that might be interesting, so I'm going to dive into those as well. We talked about it a little bit yesterday with Raph, got a lot of his takes on it, but I'll kind of tell you how I feel in a little more deeper detail about some of these matchups. Again, 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman text line, also streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. Great way to put a face to the voice and engage in the show that way. So again, I'll keep you updated on this game between the Lions and the Chiefs, but we'll move on here looking at this NFL schedule coming up. I'll circle some key ones in here, and if we have time, we might be able to get through most of them, but we'll leave some off the list. One of these games for me that's going to be really exciting, we just talked about him, is the Minnesota Vikings. Because you're looking at a guy in Kirk Cousins who you're going to get, and across the field, you're looking at a quarterback where you have no idea, is this Baker Mayfield thing ever going to turn out? He had that season with the Browns. He gets them to the playoffs. Just a magical moment for the Browns to finally kind of break that stretch, and he's gone. They get Deshaun Watson, and I'm sure the Browns right now aren't very happy with that trade either. They got to offer Deshaun Watson some serious money, and last year was not good for him. If you're a Browns fan, you're a little nervous about the whole Deshaun Watson thing. Not even for about his moral character, just in general, he didn't have a great season. You did not see what he was for the Houston Texans over there in Cleveland. He just wasn't a good quarterback for him. Average at best is kind of where you'd put him. So we'll kind of stay away from the Bengals-Browns. I think that's going to be a game for the Bengals to win that one. I'd be surprised. I think Deshaun Watson is going to have a better season this year. I would not think he's going to kind of stick to that same lackluster stats he had last season. Maybe you give him some more time in the offense. He gets the season to work in it. I'm betting to say he's going to have a better season. How much better is to be decided. I don't think it's good enough to beat the Bengals. I know Burrow's coming off injury, but he's also with those guys. I mean, he's had that same group of receivers pretty much the entire time. You know, he's got that team chemistry. If he's been gone through chunks of the offseason and not being able to get his workouts in, he's still got the team chemistry with those guys that I don't think that'd be a problem. Now, obviously, if that's like a guy like Jordan Love who's trying to figure out the offense, that's a huge problem. Burrow's got that thing down. Zach Taylor's head coach. He's worked with them. That's a team that, despite, you know, any offseason hindrances they may have had, they're a team I expect to come in there and take care of the Browns pretty handedly. The only way I see the Browns winning that one is if Chubb really goes off, you know, kind of that recipe for all the teams that don't have the talent the other team has. We just won't give you the ball back. You know, we'll use our strengths, and if we're not as good with the skill guys, you know, let's hope to just be tougher, stronger, and more physical in the trenches, and we will eat clock and just march the ball down the field, and we'll beat you that way. You see a lot of that with the Titans, the Giants. Those are teams that, you know, they know skill-wise they're outmatched. A lot of the times they're outmatched, but they know they got the strengths. And obviously, if you're the Titans and a guy like Derrick Henry, and you have an offensive line, and that's what you utilize, and you're going to just, you know, with Tannehill, well, we'll be a little curious to see what he looks like. He's probably been the least talked about quarterback in this upcoming NFL season. I think most people have just kind of forgotten about Tannehill and what he possibly could be. This is another opportunity for him, kind of on the lines of Baker Mayfield. He's always going to be a spot for him, whether it's backup or starter. But again, you know, you're kind of waiting to see, what is this ceiling? You know, is this as good as he going to get? You put him with the Titans, you got an awesome help and Derrick Henry, a guy you can just hand the ball off when you need those, you know, third and short situations. You're feeling pretty damn good about moving the chains. So you got a guy that is going to keep you on schedule, hypothetically. You know, that is so big for those quarterbacks. If you can get a running back that on first and long and you decide to run the ball, or excuse me, first and 10, and you can run the ball and still be safe that, you know, you're not going to be looking at a 2nd and 12, 2nd and 10, that makes the game so much easier for the quarterback. And that could be a huge help for Tannehill, who, you know, honestly, in the backfield has never had that real help back there, and especially not one of the best running backs we've seen in a long time in Derrick Henry. So again, Titans, I'm actually pretty high on them this year. You know, that's a game where we'll dive into that one later, but to quick wrap up my thoughts, you know, I can tell I'm getting excited by the NFL season. I'm hopping around all these games. I've got my eyes on Detroit Lions, Kansas City Chiefs. It's just that time of year. But we'll wrap up my point with Baker Mayfield and the Minnesota Vikings. It's a big year for Baker Mayfield. I don't think he gets another shot if he doesn't perform this year. You know, I don't know how many games he gets if he doesn't perform. I think they got the hook on him, you know, ready to go already. And it's just a matter of what's that number for them? You know, how many turnovers or how many losses or how many bad performances are they going to get from him before they pull the plug? And maybe you're expecting Baker Mayfield to kind of have a big year. I'm not on that camp. I think he kind of is what he is at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if the Buccaneers pull the plug on him and, you know, they kind of move forward with their rebuild. And that's just kind of the direction they're in. Obviously, with Tom Brady just kind of moving out, you got that Super Bowl. You're at a point now where you got a bunch of older guys that don't really have a real quarterback unless you're extremely high on Baker Mayfield. So you're looking at that organization that has a bunch of old guys, but you don't really have a real quarterback that can get the job done for you. And as I'm talking here, score update, Detroit Lions just punched one in. I couldn't tell you the play as I was looking at my screen here, but nonetheless, they punched one in here. Detroit Lions up on the Kansas City Chiefs in the first quarter, 7-0. So that one could be a pretty exciting game. There's only about 2 minutes to go in that first quarter, and the Lions got the lead 7-0. They've done a good job getting stops on the Kansas City Chiefs so far, getting those 3 and outs, getting them off the field. So we'll keep an eye on this one. You know, Lions sitting with the lead is exactly what I was saying that you want. You're not going to have to worry now. You can kind of eat that clock up. And I think if you're the Lions, that is your strength, right? If you're the Lions, I think your identity has got to be the more physical, the stronger team. And then you still have a veteran leader in Goff who can kind of get you through. Moving on here, we'll tease this one. and then we'll throw it to break since we're running up against the clock here. One of these games that I want to talk about, as I mentioned before, is the Titans and the Saints. Because we talked about with Tannehill, right? Kind of big year for him. What does he look like when he has that real help at the running back that can make those second and third downs so much easier, not only for the offensive coordinator on the play calling, but easier on the quarterback? You know, he doesn't have to work through a defense that is likely going to be set up perfectly for whatever they want to call. You know, that's so much of football is staying on pace. If you can stay on pace, that the defensive play calling becomes a lot harder. You know, you might get a play call on their end that works in perfectly for you guys because they're at a point where they have to start guessing, you know, whether you're going to run or throw the ball, play action. It becomes a lot harder. You know, you get those longs, they can just drop everyone back. And if you're in a 2nd and 12, you know, or excuse me, 3rd and 12, we'll just catch you before you get the first down, but we'll drop everyone back. So I want to talk about that game. Obviously, the Saints with Derek Carr, big game for him as well. You know, he's at another proving point. We got a lot of quarterbacks in the league that are really needed to make a name for themselves because there's a lot of great young ones coming up. And guys like Russell Wilson, guys like Derek Carr, guys like Tannehill, Baker Mayfield, there's a whole group of quarterbacks underneath you that are willing to take those spots. So big year for those guys. Let's want to dive into it. We'll do all of that in the next segment. I'm Harrison Arens going solo all the way up until 8 o'clock here on Ticket Weeknights. I'll catch you guys on the other side.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy? It's Planet Fitness. Now through September 13th, join for just $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. Plus, with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th. See Home Club for details.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Bob just wanted to say thank you for a record-setting July here at Koppel. The summer sales event continues in August, and the incentives are crazy good. Check this out. We got 0.9% financing along with a $2,500 trade-in rebate on select new models. You heard right. 0.9% financing has been extended along with a trade-in rebate. Also, our GM-certified used inventory is filling up fast, so make that money-saving drive to Koppel. It's just south of the interstate, or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with roof credit.
Hot tub season is here, and to celebrate, Bonsall Pool & Spa is having a Labor Day sale so good that they're offering it for the whole week. Purchase a new High Life Collection or Limelight Collection spa and receive a free step and cover lifter from now until September 11th. Stock will go fast, so hurry in and claim your new spa today. It's the Labor Day sale from September 1st through the 11th at Bonsall Pool & Spa at 33rd and Highway 2 or at bonsallpool.com.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Ironhide Construction has an immediate opening for an administrative assistant in their Lincoln office. The ideal candidate will have experience performing a variety of general office, administrative, and clerical duties. If you have excellent communication, interpersonal, and organizational skills, and are the type of person who enjoys keeping track of all the fine details, then this job is for you. Learn more online at ironhideconstruction.com/careers. Ironhide Construction, quality buildings and genuine service at a reasonable price.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and they've scouted out the best Kawasaki side-by-side deals for you. Score up to $2,500 off the 2023 Kawasaki Teryx and up to $1,000 off Mule Pro FX and FXCs. Whether you want to handle the toughest task in a trusted, tried and true mule or looking to dominate adventure in a Teryx, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of Kawasaki side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down. Offer valid through 9/30/2023. Subject to change without notice. Offer available on approved purchases of select new unregistered Kawasaki vehicles. Model and year exclusions apply. Cannot be combined with promotional retail financing rates.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben sandwich or the Prime Rib French dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weeknights. Again, I'm Harrison Arens going solo all the way up until 8 o'clock. And hopefully we can still get Amon Green in here later tonight. We had to push back his show, so hopefully we can get that around 8 or 9 p.m. If not, we can schedule one in sometime tomorrow for you guys for the Amon Green show. And if you missed any of those, ticketfm.com. You catch all the podcasts there, or just go to our YouTube page. You can watch them. If you like to watch the streams, great way to do that and get involved. 402-464-5685. That is the Starter Heyman text line. And again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951, streaming on all those platforms. As we kind of left off, I wanted to hint on one of the games that I'm excited to watch, and it's not the Bills and Jets. Yes, I'm excited to watch that one. That is a huge storyline, and that will completely take over Monday Night Football at 7:15. And I'm leaving that one away because I'm going to have more time to talk about it this weekend. But that one, obviously, you got Rodgers, first time, the most you've heard about the Jets in a long time. You know, positive things about the Jets. Just excited to see what that looks like. Breece Hall, Rodgers, that looks like a duo right there. They get Dalvin Cook as well. I mean, they've got some offensive talent. The defense is obviously there last year, and, you know, the Bills, it's kind of the thing, clock's ticking, right? You just need to see them put away the Jets to feel pretty good that, hey, we're still the Bills, and I know you got Rodgers and Breece Hall, but we are still further ahead of you. We still should be considered, you know, an AFC favorite. So I think it's a big time for the Bills this year. I'm excited to see that matchup between Rodgers and Josh Allen. Again, you know, there was some questions last year for the Bills. Josh Allen had some red zone issues, which were unusual in years prior. See if that gets fixed and ironed up. But the game I wanted to talk about, the Titans and Saints, because we're going to see what Derek Carr looks like for the New Orleans Saints. And I'm excited in particular because I want to see what Michael Thomas looks like with Derek Carr. You know, let's see. Michael Thomas is one of those guys that, when healthy, looks like he was going to be an electrifying player. Looked like he was going to be top 10, top 5 wide receiver at one point in time. And then he goes through injuries. The quarterback situation just starts becoming unfamiliar. And he's not really getting that production that everyone kind of thought he would have. He still is highly sought after. A lot of teams would be happy to kind of have him on their team because they see what it looks like when he does have a good quarterback and he is healthy. So you put him with Derek Carr, you know, what do the Saints look like? Do they have some real weapons on offense that they can shake things up? I do think they're the favorites in their division, but we'll see here. And obviously they're going to have their season opener, and that's Sunday at 12 o'clock. Against the Tennessee Titans. And we talked about it, right? You got Tannehill and Derek Carr, two older quarterbacks at this point that are really just kind of need to prove themselves and see how far they can take these rosters. Neither of those teams are, picked to do anything big this year, but they're both kind of in that gray area, right? Where you can see them possibly shaking things up. If everything they're saying in camp and on paper is true to be, those are teams that can make some noise this year. And again, I can't stress enough, the Saints have in my opinion, a cakewalk in the division. When I look through those shows, when I look through those games, first things first, especially when you get to the NFL level, you're comparing the quarterbacks. And in a game like the Titans and Saints, that's why it's an interesting one for me. I couldn't tell you at this point in the career who's going to be better. I'm leaning towards Derek Carr, especially with the weapons he has. But if you're Tannehill and you got Derrick Henry, that can make some really easy throws for you. And that could be a system where you don't have to be a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes. You just got to be on time and consistent and let your backs work for you. So that's been me for the whole show here. Again, go to ticketfm.com in case you missed any of the prior shows or our YouTube page. I'm Harrison Arens. This has been Ticket Weeknights. Hopefully we got some more for you later. But nonetheless, I'll catch you guys next week.